afternoon. Welcome to Not Minding My Own Business. I'm your host, elder law attorney and estate planning attorney Russell Farbiars, and I am joined here today by Dr. Jacquelyn Fetrow. Dr. Fetrow is the president of Albright College and the professor of chemistry and biochemistry. Uh, Dr. Fetrow is actually the first Albright graduate to lead the college, and it's currently the 15th president of the college, serving on several national and local boards. Dr. Fetrow co-founded a biotechnology software company and played a key role in developing strategy, raising more than $50 million, holding a doctorate in biological chemistry from Penn State and a Bachelor of Science in Biochemistry from Albright. She is the co-inventor on 5 U.S. patents and has published over 90 scientific papers. Wow, Dr. Fetrow, you are a busy lady, aren't you?
Well, maybe. You make it sound more impressive than I think it really is. But thank you, Russell. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Well, welcome. Well, thank you so much for being here. Um, so I want to start with Albright College. Tell us what's on the horizon for Albright, what the goals are, and where you see taking Albright during your tenure.
Where do I see taking Albright during my tenure? That is a great question. Albright is an anchor institution in the city of Reading. We have been here for over 150 years, and we want to continue to expand and build on our role as an anchor institution in Reading and Berks, because as colleges or anchor institutions survive and thrive, so do the cities and vice versa. The other part of it is Albright has long been a college that has educated students of the middle and working classes. We are nationally ranked number 31 by U.S. News and World Report, and that's a national ranking for social mobility. And we are also nationally ranked among private selective colleges for graduates who move up 1, 2, or 3 socioeconomic quintiles 15 years after graduation. So we are a socioeconomic mobility engine, and the goal is to expand that and enhance that in this day when many people don't believe that a college education is an important goal, or at least not as important as it used to be if you listen to the media. Our data about social mobility and socioeconomic mobility would say otherwise.
So that's very interesting, because you do hear a lot in the media that there was once a time when you needed a college education. You and I, of course, both have college and advanced degrees, but there are a lot of people nowadays that think that they don't need that. So what sort of increase in socioeconomic mobility do you see from that data that you were referencing?
Yeah, great question, Russell. And I think it's really important to realize that I think there's 2 pieces here. Even with all of the words in the media, the average college, and not at your elite schools, but even schools like Albright, your average college graduate will earn about $1 million more than somebody who's just completed their high school degree. And the other argument that people give today is that there are more jobs that do not require a college degree. And that's true. People are saying they don't require college degrees. But if you look at those jobs, what you will see is that college graduates, they may start at about the same salary in these degree optional jobs as somebody with a high school diploma. But within 5 years, they have begun to outpace in both job mobility and in salary growth. So there's actually, even if you start at a degree optional job, you will earn a 25% premium on your salary. So I would argue for financial well-being, college education, if you don't pay too much, is an important goal for achieving financial stability.
Absolutely, and you sort of touched on the elephant in the room right now, which is the high cost of college education. Are there programs at Albright that help sort of defray those costs for students?
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. And here it's really important that to know that college is a whole range of schools. When people think of colleges, they think of the Harvards and the Penns and the elite institutions that might cost 70 or $80,000 a year. However, schools like Albright College don't cost nearly that much. And then just like, well, when we used to buy cars, there was the sticker price. And then when you walked on the lot, you negotiated a price. There, we actually offer, and all schools do, but Albright does as well, because we have a commitment to affordability, a number of scholarships of all sorts for for students to make sure that they can afford to go to Albright College. That is a really important thing. And about 6 years ago, Albright also did a tuition reset so that our sticker price is now in the bottom quartile of our peer institutions, not in the top quartile. It's part of our commitment to affordability and to helping students be prepared for success in life and career.
Absolutely. Now, college, as you said, it's more than just it's not just like a group of colleges. It's in a lot of ways, college is really about a way of thinking and a way of approaching life. It's not really the sum total of, okay, I took this philosophy course and that politics course and this marketing course. How do you think that plays into your alumni's success when they're going into the job market?
Yeah, I think I really like that question, Russell, because there is the degree, and people think about, okay, there's always, okay, well, you shouldn't be an art history major because there's no jobs for art history majors. But you named it very well, that it's not just those skills you learn in a major. It is, in fact, that what you're learning during a college degree is you're learning to learn. You're learning to be able to improve yourself and learn throughout your life. So people are often surprised to learn this, but the most common degree for CEOs in the high-tech field is what major?
Philosophy.
You know that.
No,
Nobody
no.
guesses that.
The reason I guess that is because it's also one of the top majors for folks who want to go to law school, and the reason for that is because it's essentially about how to think and how to approach problems. So it would make sense that it would also work with CEOs.
Yeah, you're exactly and 100% correct. I remember a cartoon from some decades ago. It was the philosophy final exam, and the question was, well, now what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to go be a high-tech CEO. I'm going to go be a lawyer, because you're really learning how to think critically, to argue, to really evaluate the pros and cons and look from all sides. And many different majors at colleges teach you to do that, but philosophy is particularly good at it because of all the logic and the ways of approaching things.
Absolutely. Now, can you talk just a little bit about the different schools that you have within Albright?
I can. So we have historically been just a liberal arts college, so just a school of arts and sciences, though we had departments in a number of fields, including business and the sciences and fashion. But recently the board has approved that we are splitting our programs, our most successful programs. We will now have, at least at this moment, 3 schools: a school of educational innovation, the building on our success with total experience learning and the engagement of ways of teaching K-12 students. So that's a school of educational innovation. And then the second is building on the success of our business programs, a school of business and professional studies. So continuing the business, the professional studies, the leadership studies that are offered as both undergraduate and graduate programs. And I should say the School of Educational Innovation is also both graduate and undergraduate programs. And then we will have the other programs as the School of Arts and Sciences for the moment. But the School of Arts and Sciences is historically our arts and sciences. So it's the arts, it's the social sciences, it's the humanities, and the sciences.
Okay. So a wide breadth of opportunity, and I mentioned to you before we got on the recording is that I have a I have a student of yours, not yours personally, but of the colleges, who started out as an intern with us, and very quickly impressed us with her abilities, um, and is now is a part-time employee. I think she's actually technically an intern again this semester as well. But it can definitely, what you're teaching about thinking and how to approach things is working, because I see in this student, um, who's just been excellent. Oh,
I think that's really, really, I appreciate you saying that. We have such wonderful students at Albright College, and that partnership with businesses and industries and firms like yours to offer the students the opportunity to get that internship, to build that network, to build those skills and actually applying what they learned in the classroom in a real world setting is so crucial. So I'm really grateful that you give our students those opportunities, and want to encourage any of your listeners who have opportunities for Albright student interns, just reach out.
absolutely. We're actually in the process of working on getting another intern from your from your school. So
That's great.
um, now I want to talk a little bit about your background. So how did you get to where you are now? How did you get to be the president of the university?
um, by taking a very circuitous path and taking advantages of opportunities as they came. I started, as your intro said, I actually started in Pennsylvania a long time ago. I grew up in Camp Hill, Pennsylvania. I was a college student and graduated from Albright College. I then went to Penn State and got my grad degree, but then I was leaving Pennsylvania never to return. That was my plan. And I did postdocs. I got my first teaching job at the University at Albany in Albany, New York. And I thought I had it made. I could be a professor, I could teach, I could do research. I thought this was like the job I would have forever. While I was at Albany, I became a little I became less enamored with higher education because there was much emphasis on research, and I wanted to do both research and teaching. And so I got tenure at Albany. I moved to San Diego. I got a job at the Scripps Research Institute. And again, I thought I had it made. I could do research and I could live in San Diego. Who wouldn't like that? Um, and
And
then, and then,
you left San Diego. That's impressive.
yeah, well, there's a reason, and I'll tell you that in a second. And the technology that we were developing out there got the attention of, it was in the days of the sequencing of the genomes, all that, and that there was a lot of money in that area, and we got the some investors were interested in what we were doing, and we ultimately started a company, and I moved to be the chief scientific officer of the company, still in San Diego. 4 years later, the market shifted, and we shifted the company, and the company had to move in a direction that was not the direction that I wanted to work in, but it was what the market demanded. That's what you do in industry. And so I took some time off, and I left San Diego because the weather was boring. Having grown up in Pennsylvania, I liked my seasons, and 7 years of all the same weather was just a little boring. I took a year off and traveled around the country with my partner and my two dogs in a travel trailer. Then I got a job at Wake Forest. I, again, thought I had it made because I was an endowed chair there. And then somebody said, come be the dean of the college. And I said, no. But she was kind of convincing, and that started my path to academic administration. So I was dean of the college at Wake Forest for 5.5 years, and then at Richmond, and then I was recruited back to Albany. So a little bit of teaching and research, some focused research, running the company, being a researcher and a teacher, and then into administration.
Well, it sounds like a wonderful career. You know, you've got to do a little bit of everything, and now you're back where you started in some respects.
I am, in kind of a weird way. And in a weird way, you asked about San Diego. I'm enjoying the winters, which we didn't have in San Diego and didn't much have down south either. So,
and we haven't had here for a while either. This is the first winter where we've actually had snow.
Yeah, for a
in a couple of
while.
years.
Yep.
Yeah, which is nice. Which is nice when you don't have to move it. When you have to move it, it gets a little challenging.
I would agree, but that first snowfall is a good one. Then
It,
they can just stay away.
it absolutely. So what are what are your I think we sort of touched on this a little bit before, but what are your initiatives or your goals for your administration?
Um, Really to continue to build in a time when you know much of our country is thinking that college isn't worth it, to continue to offer the opportunity to students and families in a way that really makes a difference for them to be successful in lives and careers. We need to remember that our students are changing. They're different since the pandemic, and they continue to change. And we're educating them for what they're saying is students will have 17 different jobs in 5 different industries. That's not something you and I ever would have
Yeah.
experienced. And they're going to have opportunities for jobs and technologies that haven't been invented yet. So students need to learn to be creative, to reinvent themselves. And so developing at Albright College our new Spark program, which is really focusing on helping students develop those creative skills, the foundational skills that are essential for being able to recreate themselves throughout their lives.
Yeah, I think that, the word of the year in 2020 was pivot. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that it's really the word of the generation, um, because we all have to pivot every day, even though we're no longer in the situation we were in 2020 with the lockdowns and whatnot. The world changed, and it's never going to go back to the way it was.
Yep,
In,
exactly.
I think you're right that educational institutions need to train students, to recognize that,
Mm-hmm.
and to really be able to move forward. Um, Now, you mentioned something earlier that I wanted to go back to. You said that Albright is an anchor institution. Can you explain a little bit what you mean by an anchor institution?
Yeah, certainly. Every community or most communities have these institutions that are just long-standing pillars of the community. They tend to be institutions of higher education or hospitals or things like that. Sometimes companies, but often companies will get bought and move. So they don't tend to be as long-standing, but sometimes they can be companies as well. And so an anchor institution is really an institution that's part of a community for a long time. It provides benefits to the community. So it offers employment, as in Albright's case, it offers education. With the hospital's case, it offers employment and healthcare. And it's deeply embedded into what the community is, engaged in helping the community to grow. And all the data shows that in medium-sized cities like Reading, the city and the community and the anchor institutions either thrive or die together. Communities die when their anchor institutions die. Likewise, when communities die, anchor institutions, they really depend on each other. So that engagement of the anchor institutions with the community is really important. You can see that with Reading Hospital, with so much of what they're doing to develop, like to be the regional center, so we don't have to go to Philly or Hershey. The trauma center, the community medicine program, which is just a model community medicine program. And you can see it with the institutions of higher education, including Albright, where we have interns who are working in local communities. Our students are volunteering in the local schools. We have our whole 13th Street partnership, because 13th Street in Reading is the only street in the country where you can go from pre-K to a graduate degree on the same street. So it's the 13th Street gang. And we have students who are working with the local elementary, middle, and high schools, in leadership studies and music. The students come to our campus. Our students go to theirs. So really engaging the community in these ways that matter.
And that's great. I did not know that about 13th Street. I didn't realize that you could go all the way through. But that what a great street to.
It's not super cool.
It is. I think that's really cool that there's the only place in this country that you can go to it and start at one end of your education and get to the other end is right here
Yep.
in the city of Reading. And who would have known that?
Who would have known? And there are Albright alums who are very proud. They say they are members of the 13th Street Gang. So
So it sounds like like yeah, there are a lot of opportunities to work with the city of Reading, work within the county. Um, are there any specific programs where you're working with the city of Reading to sort of improve the city as well as the institution?
yeah, Russell, I could talk about three or four, and your listeners would be bored. So I'll highlight just a major one right now that's having a pretty significant impact. And this is our partnership with Total Experience Learning, which was developed by Adele Shade. Total Experience Learning is a way of teaching. It is a way of teaching that engages both the teachers and the students in their education. And this was developed by Adele Shade, who now works at Albright College. She's a vice president here. And what we've discovered is as we have expanded and offered this opportunity for teachers to learn total experience learning and for students to learn, is the positive impact it has both on the teachers who will say, I was ready to leave the industry because this wasn't fun anymore, but this brought back the joy of teaching, as well as for the students, where we're seeing test scores, the state test scores, improving and increasing when teachers teach with this method. So for example, Governor Mifflin School District has really embraced, many of the school districts have, but Governor Mifflin has been a lead school district. And you can go to their nights where their teachers and their students are talking about all the things that students have created and done. And that's causing test scores to go up. It's causing students to be more engaged in learning. So Albright College has the board approved last September, or actually October, the School of Educational Innovation, so that we can really completely expand that program beyond just what it was, to really taking on, we'll be offering full-on college degrees in teaching using total experience learning, from master's degrees to doctorate degrees, working to educate more and more teachers, as well as providing the opportunity for students in summer and after school programs, and also what we call the academies. We partner, for example, with Reading School District, and this year with Antietam School District, where we offer courses taught by both the school district's teacher and our teachers in the total experience methodology, taking advantage of our facilities, which is a great opportunity for the students. So educational attainment and partnering with the area school districts towards that end.
Absolutely. And I can tell you that when I went to back to school night for my elementary age kids this past fall, the teachers were talking about this program, and I think one of my son's teachers had done it, and another one was about to do it, and they were all very excited about it.
Oh, that's awesome. Which school?
Wyomissing School District.
Wyomissing, yeah. Wyomissing is
Yeah.
one of our good partners too, so that's great.
Yeah, so it's definitely making a difference in the community, and just goes right to what you said about the anchor institutions.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what would you say is one of your biggest successes and your biggest failures in your current role? Now you're on the interview, right? This is like a job interview question.
Right, the job interview. You're going to say, "What's my biggest success, my biggest failure?" Man, that's a hard question. So I'm going to talk about biggest success was probably and I'm not going to talk about Albright yet because we're not done there yet. So I'm going to talk about Wake Forest, where I became engaged in a very interdisciplinary group of researchers who were developing some very, very cool technology And I helped them to understand the market value of that technology to the end that they said later, we got patents and we never even would have thought of patenting this, which actually made the research take off in ways that the researchers hadn't imagined. And one of the things I love to do is bring interdisciplinary groups of people together to help accomplish bigger than anything any one group could have done. And these were computational people, biochemists, medicinal chemists. It was a really cool thing looking at redox biology, because redox biology is kind of cool. But that's a very fun thing. And I'm pretty proud of that, because the group ended up getting, I think, 4 or 5 patents on their technology, and it's used. The papers still continue to get cited in significant ways. So that was pretty cool.
Nice.
Biggest failure. I don't know. I tend to not look at life as failures. I tend to just do the best that I can and then keep going.
Yep.
So I'm not sure I have a good answer to that question.
And I don't know that there is a good answer to that half of the question, because is it really failure, or is it just a learning opportunity?
That's how I see it. It's a challenge, and you learn from it, and you aim to do the best you can, and you do better next time, right?
That's right. That's right. So what is something about your industry that the average person would not be aware of?
We already touched on this. A little bit earlier, which is really that pervasive thinking in the media these days, that a college degree isn't worth it. And the underlying data is very clear that a college degree actually matters in terms of both career advancement and financial sustainability. So that, I think we already touched on that. Oh, and I will say one other thing, Russell. People tend to paint all higher education with a single brush, and we are not all of a single brush. There's the elite schools like Harvard and Penn and the Ivies. Then there's the middle of the roads like Albright College, and there's so many of these middle of the roads that really educate the students of the middle and working classes. And even here in Reading, I think one of the great strengths of Reading and Berks County is the fact that we have a diversity of educational institutions. So we have RAC, one of the premier community colleges in the state. We have Albright College, we've already talked about. We have Alverny University, which is ranked as a regional. So Albright's ranked as a national liberal arts college, and Alverny is ranked as a regional master's institution. So that's a slightly different type of institution. Then we have Penn State Berks, and we have Kutztown, both state institutions. The range of what we offer here for students and adults in terms of improving their education, improving their skills, is simply amazing. It's a strength of our county.
Yeah, absolutely. For a medium size or smaller size area, there's so many diverse educational opportunities, and it's great. I mean, and yeah, I completely agree. Well, Dr. Fetrow, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here and talk with us about what's going on at Albright.
I appreciate that. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I didn't realize time had gone quite so quickly. So thank you, Russell.
It always goes quickly when we're having a good conversation. Well, thank you again for taking the time.
All right. Thank you.